Are you a helicopter parent? Or perhaps you have even reached Black Hawk status. Well, as parents, we want to be by our child's side and help them navigate the challenges of life. But we have a job to do to support them to grow up and thrive. And a wonderful, proud parent moment is when you watch your child advocate for themselves and ask for what they need. Kids who are deaf or hard of hearing need to be able to confidently communicate and explain their hearing loss, their devices, their needs, and more. Let's talk about what self-advocacy means and ways you can grow this skill with your little one. Hi, I'm Dr. Teresa Caraway with Hearing First. We're here to help and support families just like yours who have a child with hearing loss. We want to empower you as your child learns to listen, talk, read, and thrive just like kids with typical hearing. What is self-advocacy? Well, simply defined, it's taking responsibility to communicate your needs. It includes speaking up for yourself, making decisions, solving problems, and asking for support. Well, that sounds like a lot for a little child right now, but these are important skills they will need later in life, so you want to start early. These skills don't develop naturally, so you'll need to be intentional about teaching your child to be their own best advocate. It can be hard for younger children to have that awareness or even vocabulary to ask for what they need. That's why when your child is little, you are their advocate. And as they grow, you'll model the skills they need to advocate for themselves. Of course, all children need to have confidence to speak up when they need help and explain their challenges to others. And it's especially important for children who are deaf or hard of hearing to speak up for themselves. This could look like reminding the teacher to wear the remote microphone, sitting closer to the teacher in the classroom, asking the coach to repeat the questions or the instructions, or clarifying what someone says instead of pretending that you've heard them or that you understand what they're saying. If your child is younger, you might be thinking, we are so not there yet. We still have so much to learn and a long way to go. But there are things you can do today to prepare your child for their independent future. Here are some things you can do to start with toddlers and preschoolers. Name devices and parts. As you put the devices on and take them off every day, name and explain the different parts. You will want your little one to know the name of the device and that it helps them to hear. As they get older, they'll need to be able to identify the different parts. And as you take care of the devices, describe what you're doing so they become familiar. They may not be taking care of their hearing devices at this age, but you want them to know and understand that they are special and important and need to be taken care of. Talk about the batteries and communicate when devices aren't working. Your child will need to let you know when their device isn't working. Help them understand that the devices use batteries or need to be charged. Explain that when the batteries or charge runs out, the devices don't work, which means they can't hear clearly. Practice putting devices on together. When your child's devices fall off, do they make an attempt to put them back on? Clips can be a great accessory so that when the device comes off, it stays on your child's shirt and they can put it back on themselves. Practice asking for help. That's not just with hearing devices. It's also important your little one knows how to ask for help. You can give them the words they need. So, for example, I see you're having trouble putting your shoes on. You could say, I need help with my shoes. Help me, please. Of course, it's one thing to ask for help at home, but it can feel much harder in public or with someone who's new to the child. Try letting your child order at restaurants and suggest the words to use, like, may I have a hamburger and fries? Empower your child to ask what they need and let them know they can make requests. Teach them how to ask for more information when they aren't quite sure. If someone says a new word or something they aren't familiar with, practice how to ask what that means. This can be especially helpful when new experiences like sports or after-school activities introduce new vocabulary. These skills don't develop overnight. Be patient and practice them often. Learning to self-advocate takes time and builds as your child gets older. Be a good role model in advocating for your child, and they will follow your example when they get older. As your child gets older, especially when they're starting grade school, talk to them about how they can handle different situations. You can even practice at home to role play with different scenarios. What happens when the classroom gets noisy at the end of the day? What about if you didn't hear the teacher's directions on the playground? Or if the teacher is wearing the remote mic, but it's not working? Have your child think about these listening situations and how they could handle them, and that will equip them to feel confident when a challenge does come their way. Your child might surprise and impress you with their answers. I imagine they already have strong skills thanks to your encouragement and support. We have a great tool to use as you practice self-advocacy together. The free worksheet, All About Me, helps your child share information about themselves, their devices, and their needs. It's great to use for school, camp, or sports teams. If your child is young, fill it out together and explain why it's important to let people know about their hearing loss and their needs. And if your child is older, let them fill it out for themselves and talk through what they have written. Wherever you are on this journey and however you may be feeling, you are not alone. Hearing First is here to help and support you every step of the way. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for the latest videos. Visit hearingfirst.org to find more resources and to learn more.